The Confessions tour stop at London's Wembley Arena on August 12, 2006 was supposed to be a triumph. Madonna was at the peak of her career. The tour was breaking records, and the production was the most elaborate she'd ever done. The arena was packed with 12,000 screaming fans. The energy was electric, and Madonna had just finished performing Hung Up to thunderous applause. That's when she saw the sign. Front row, center section. A woman in her 50s holding a large white poster board with block letters written in black marker. "You killed my daughter." Madonna was in the middle of her transition into Ray of Light when the sign caught her eye. At first, she thought she'd misread it. People brought signs to concerts all the time. Declarations of love, requests for songs, birthday announcements. But this was different. This was an accusation, a grief-stricken condemnation from a mother who believed Madonna was responsible for her child's death. The dancers around her continued their choreography for a few beats before they realized their boss had frozen mid-performance. The music kept playing, but Madonna wasn't singing. She was staring at the woman with the sign. Security noticed immediately. 2 guards started moving toward the woman, preparing to remove her from the venue. This was a disruption, possibly a threat. Protocol was clear. Remove the problem, keep the show moving. But Madonna raised her hand, stopping them. "Wait," she said into her microphone, "stop the music." The band, confused, gradually stopped playing. The dancers stopped moving. 12,000 people in Wembley Arena went silent, wondering what was happening, why Madonna had halted the show. Madonna walked to the edge of the stage, as close as she could get to the woman with the sign. Up close, she could see the woman's face more clearly. She was probably in her early 50s, with short gray hair and eyes that were red from crying. She wasn't there to cause trouble or make a scene for attention. She was there because she was in pain, and she believed Madonna needed to hear it. "What's your name?" Madonna asked, her voice now quiet, but still amplified through the arena speakers. The woman looked shocked that Madonna was actually addressing her. "Catherine," she said, her voice barely audible. "Catherine Morrison." "Catherine," Madonna repeated, "tell me about your daughter." Security guards looked at each other, uncertain. This wasn't normal. This wasn't safe. But Madonna was in control, and she was making a choice to engage rather than ignore. Catherine held up the sign higher, as if Madonna might not have seen it clearly. Her name was Emily. She was 16 years old, and she died 4 months ago. The arena remained silent. 12,000 people listening to a grief-stricken mother tell Madonna about her dead teenage daughter. "I'm so sorry," Madonna said. Whatever had happened, whatever Catherine believed, the grief in this woman's face was real. "How did she die?" Catherine's hands shook as she held the sign. "She starved herself to death. Anorexia. She was 5'6" and weighed 72 pounds when her heart gave out. She'd been trying to look like you." Those last 6 words hit Madonna like a punch to the chest. "Like me?" "She had pictures of you all over her walls," Catherine said, tears streaming down her face now. "From your tours, your videos, your photo shoots. All those images of you with your perfect abs, your perfect arms, your perfect everything. She wanted to be that. She wanted to be perfect like Madonna." Madonna felt the air go out of her lungs. She'd heard criticisms before about body image and the impossible standards set by celebrities. She'd defended herself, argued that she worked hard for her physique, that it was about discipline and dedication. But she'd never had to look into the eyes of a mother who'd lost her daughter and hear that those images might have contributed to that death. "Catherine," Madonna said slowly, "would you come up here? Would you talk to me?" Catherine looked surprised. "On stage?" "Yes. Please, I want everyone to hear what you have to say." Security helped Catherine climb onto the stage. She was still holding her sign, gripping it like it was the only thing keeping her standing. Madonna guided her to center stage, where moments before she'd been performing one of her biggest hits. "Tell them," Madonna said gently. Tell everyone about Emily. Catherine looked out at 12,000 faces staring at her. She took a shaky breath. My daughter was beautiful, she began. Smart, funny, talented. She wanted to be a dancer. She was good at it too. But when she was 14, she started noticing she wasn't as thin as the dancers she saw on TV. She started comparing herself to the women in music videos, especially yours. Madonna stood next to Catherine, listening, her expression serious. She started skipping meals, Catherine continued. Just a little at first, then more. She said she needed to be lighter, more flexible. She said dancers had to be thin. She showed me pictures of you from your tours, your reinvention tour, your costumes that showed your stomach, your arms. She said, that's what a real performer looks like, Mom. That's what I need to look like. The arena was so quiet, you could hear people breathing. I tried to tell her she was beautiful as she was, Catherine said. I tried to get her help, therapy, doctors, treatment programs, but she wouldn't listen. She said everyone was trying to keep her from being perfect. She said Madonna worked hard for her body, and she could too. She just had to try harder, eat less, exercise more. By the time we got her into a hospital program, her organs were failing. The doctors said if we could keep her alive for 6 months, get some weight on her, she might recover. She lasted 7 weeks. Her heart just stopped. It was too damaged, too weak. She was 16 years old and she weighed 72 pounds, and she died because she wanted to look like Madonna. Madonna closed her eyes. When she opened them, they were wet with tears. Catherine, she said, I am so sorry. I can't imagine your pain. I don't know what to say that would make this better. You can't make it better, Catherine said. She's gone, but you can stop killing other people's daughters. The words hung in the air. 12,000 people waited to see how Madonna would respond. Madonna took a deep breath. You're right, she said simply. The arena seemed to collectively inhale. Madonna, who'd built a career on being bold and unapologetic, was agreeing with her accuser. You're right, Madonna repeated. I've spent my entire career defending my image choices, saying that I work hard and I'm just showing the results of discipline and dedication. And that's true. I do work hard, but I've never stopped to think about what message that sends to girls who see those images and think that's what they need to be. She turned to face the crowd directly. How many of you have ever looked at a picture of me and thought, I wish I looked like that? Hundreds of hands went up throughout the arena, maybe thousands. And how many of you have ever skipped a meal or exercised until you were exhausted or hated your body because you didn't look like what you thought you should look like? More hands, lots more hands. Madonna turned back to Catherine. I can't bring Emily back, but I can promise you that I will do better. I will be more responsible about the images I put out there. I will talk about the trainers, the nutritionists, the professionals who help me stay healthy, not just thin, but healthy. I will talk about the photo editing, the lighting, the makeup artists, all the things that go into creating those perfect images. Catherine was crying openly now. Will you tell them it's not worth dying for? Madonna nodded. I will tell them it's not worth dying for. I will tell them that being alive and imperfect is better than being dead and thin. I will tell them that Emily Morrison was beautiful and valuable exactly as she was, and she didn't need to change a single thing about herself. Madonna turned back to the microphone. I need to say something to all of you. For 20+ years, I've been selling an image, and part of that image has been physical perfection. I've shown you my abs, my arms, my body in ways that were meant to be impressive, to show strength and discipline. But I never showed you the hours in the gym with professional trainers. I never showed you the strict meal plans designed by nutritionists. I never showed you the photo retouching, the lighting tricks, the makeup that creates the illusion of even more definition than actually exists. She paused, looking out at the sea of faces. I never told you that sometimes I look at those images of myself and I feel inadequate because I can't always maintain that. I never told you that I'd struggled with my own body image, my own insecurities. I showed you a fantasy and let you believe it was reality, and that was wrong. The crowd was absolutely silent. Emily Morrison died trying to achieve something that isn't even real, Madonna said. The perfect body you see in my videos, it doesn't exist. Not without a team of professionals, specific lighting, and computer editing. And even then, it's just one moment captured in time. It's not sustainable, it's not healthy, and it's definitely not worth dying for. She turned back to Catherine. I can't give you your daughter back, but I can try to make sure no other mother loses her daughter the same way. Will you help me? Catherine looked confused. Help you how? I want to start a foundation, Madonna said, for eating disorder awareness and treatment. I want to fund research, treatment programs, education. I want Emily's name to be attached to something that saves lives instead of being another statistic. Will you help me build that? Catherine stared at Madonna for a long moment. Then, slowly, she nodded. Yes, I'll help you. Madonna reached out and hugged Catherine Morrison on stage in front of 12,000 people. Two women, who moments before had been on opposite sides of grief and blame, were now crying together, united in wanting to prevent other families from experiencing the same loss. When they separated, Madonna addressed the crowd again. We're not continuing the show tonight the way it was planned. Instead, I want to talk to you about something more important than entertainment. I want to talk about staying alive. For the next hour, Madonna transformed her concert into something unprecedented. She invited eating disorder survivors from the audience to come on stage and share their stories. She called eating disorder helpline numbers out loud and had them displayed on the big screens. She talked about her own struggles with body image, with the pressure to maintain an impossible standard, with the reality behind the fantasy. And then something extraordinary happened. A teenage girl in the 5th row stood up and started crying. She was clearly emaciated, her collarbones jutting out sharply, her arms stick-thin. I'm dying too, she called out, her voice breaking. Just like Emily. I'm killing myself, and I can't stop. Madonna immediately gestured for security to help the girl. What's your name, sweetheart? And I'm 91 pounds, and I can't stop losing weight, and I'm so scared. Madonna walked to the edge of the stage closest to Rachel. Rachel, you just did the bravest thing you've ever done. You asked for help. That's the first step. And we're going to make sure you get help. Right now, tonight. Madonna's tour manager was already on the phone backstage, calling for medical support. Within minutes, EMTs were in the arena, assessing Rachel's condition. Her parents, who'd been sitting next to her terrified and helpless as their daughter slowly disappeared, were crying with relief that someone was finally intervening. Rachel was taken to a hospital that night. Her parents later said that seeing Madonna take Catherine Morrison seriously, seeing a mother's grief validated instead of dismissed, seeing Madonna admit responsibility, that was what gave Rachel the courage to admit she needed help. The concert never resumed. Instead, Madonna spent the rest of the evening talking with fans about body image, mental health, and the dangers of pursuing impossible standards. She gave out resource cards for eating disorder hotlines. She promised to do better, to be more responsible, to use her platform to save lives instead of inadvertently encouraging self-destruction. The story went viral overnight. News outlets around the world covered it. Some praised Madonna for her handling of an impossible situation. Others criticized her for not addressing these issues sooner. But everyone agreed that what happened at Wembley Arena on August 12, 2006, changed the conversation about celebrity responsibility and body image. Within 3 months, Madonna had established the Emily Morrison Foundation for Eating Disorder Awareness and Treatment. Catherine Morrison served as the executive director. The foundation funded treatment programs for families who couldn't afford care, sponsored research into eating disorder prevention and treatment, and created educational programs for schools about body image and media literacy. Madonna also changed how she presented herself publicly. She still performed, still maintained her fitness, but she started being transparent about the process. She posted photos of herself without makeup. She talked about her team of trainers and nutritionists. She addressed photo retouching publicly. She made it clear that the Madonna people saw in carefully curated images was a constructed persona, not achievable reality. Most importantly, she added eating disorder awareness segments to every stop on her subsequent tours. She displayed helpline numbers prominently. She invited survivors to share their stories. She made it clear that she believed staying alive and imperfect was infinitely better than dying in pursuit of an impossible ideal. Rachel, the 15-year-old who'd stood up that night at Wembley, spent 8 months in residential treatment. It was hard, painful work to relearn how to eat, to rebuild her relationship with food and her body, to address the underlying trauma and perfectionism that had fueled her eating disorder. But she survived. And 5 years later, at age 20, she walked on stage at another Madonna concert, healthy, recovered, alive, to share her story with a new audience. "I almost died trying to look like a fantasy," Rachel told the crowd. But seeing Madonna admit that the fantasy wasn't real, seeing her take responsibility, seeing her actually help people instead of just defending herself, that saved my life. She stopped her show to save me, and now I want to help save others. Catherine Morrison continued her work with the foundation until her death in 2018. In her final interview, she said, "I went to that concert to hurt Madonna, to make her feel responsible for Emily's death, and she accepted that responsibility in a way I never expected. She didn't defend herself or make excuses. She listened to my pain and she did something about it. She can't give me my daughter back, but she's helped save hundreds of other people's daughters. And that means Emily's death wasn't meaningless. It meant something. It changed something. The sign Catherine had brought to Wembley Arena, 'You killed my daughter,' was donated to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as part of an exhibit on how music and celebrity culture impact mental health and body image. Alongside it is a photo of Madonna and Catherine hugging on stage, two women who should have been enemies, choosing instead to become allies in fighting a deadly disease. Madonna herself rarely talks about that night without getting emotional. In a 2016 interview, 10 years after the Wembley concert, she said, "That night changed me." Catherine Morrison held up a mirror and showed me that my choices had consequences beyond my own life. She showed me that I had power, power to influence, power to harm, power to help. And she demanded that I use that power responsibly. I will be forever grateful to her for that, even though it came from the most devastating loss a parent can experience. The interviewer asked if Madonna had any regrets about her career, about the images she promoted before that night. "Of course I have regrets," Madonna said. "I can't bring Emily back. I can't undo the damage done to all the girls and boys who starved themselves trying to look like an image that wasn't even real. But I can make different choices going forward. I can be honest. I can be responsible. I can acknowledge that what I put out into the world matters, and people's lives depend on me getting it right." Catherine Morrison taught me that when someone holds up a sign saying, "You killed my daughter," you don't run away, and you don't defend yourself. You stop, you listen, you take responsibility, and then you do everything in your power to make sure no one else's daughter dies the same way. That's what being human means. That's what having power means. You use it to save lives, not end them. If this story moved you, if you've ever struggled with body image or an eating disorder, if you know someone who has, please reach out for help. The numbers in the description are available 24/7. You don't have to look like anyone but yourself. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be alive. That's enough. You are enough. Subscribe for more stories about the moments when facing hard truths changes everything. Share this with someone who needs to know that their life matters more than their appearance. And remember, staying alive and imperfect is always better than dying in pursuit of an impossible ideal.